Hello everybody, today we're going to be discussing the concept of discrimination, price discrimination. Now by definition, price discrimination is essentially businesses charging different prices to different customers depending on their willingness to pay. For example, let's say there's a company selling a watch, and I am one of their customers and I'm only willing to pay about $30 for this watch. And there's another customer out there somewhere that's willing to pay as much as $50 for the same watch. Now, let's also assume that I represent the customers from Canada, and this other guy, he represents the customers from the States. So the customers from Canada only willing to pay $30 for this watch, but those from the United States willing to pay as much as $50. So to maximize profits, what this company can do is charge $30 to Canadian customers and $50 to US customers. And that's an example of price discrimination. And that works in the favor of the company. There's three sort of levels of price discrimination, three kind of degrees: first degree, second degree, and third degree. Now, first degree is one where the company or the business knows the willingness to pay of every single customer. They know that people in the US want to buy this watch for $50, and they also know that Canadian consumers want to buy it for $30. Now, in theory it works, but it's just not possible. No company can know the willingness to pay for every single customer on the planet. It's just not possible. So this first degree, it works in theory, but in a real sort of market, it fails. The second degree of discrimination is where a company charges different prices based on the quantity that's being sold. Let's say we go to Walmart, we buy a can of Coke for $2. Or we could buy a crate that has a dozen cans that's being sold for $10. So anybody wants to buy a single can of Coke, they can pay $2. They want to buy a larger quantity, they can buy the crate for $10. Both the customers are paying money and the business makes maximum profit. This third degree is when businesses charge different prices based on different groups of customers. Perfect example of this is movie tickets. The price of a movie ticket for someone my age, a teenager, will be substantially more than a senior citizen, than someone in their 60s, because their willingness to pay for a movie ticket is less than mine. And that is essentially what price discrimination is. That's how companies price discriminate. They look at factors, basically anything that can affect a consumer's willingness to pay, and taking advantage of those factors and charging different prices for different consumers depending on their different willingness to pay.